When we came in, we lived in it as it was for 6 years. During that 6-year period, we fell in love with it, learned about the history, learned about the architecture. It was really a journey of educating ourselves, falling in love with the space, until the day that we sort of saved up enough money we love it so much that we want to kind of bring it back to its original condition as much as we can, but at the same time modernize it so that it makes sense for a young family 60 plus years after it was designed. My name is Varanad and Zara. We're at the Webber House in Glendale, California. The architect of this house is Quincy Jones. The house was built in 1950 for a local resident, teacher, I believe. The house is based on the Sun Villa, which was originally built in San Diego, but the idea of the house was that it would be deployed in a lot of locations. So builders would come to him and he would redesign or redeploy that same design in various geographic areas. There's a lot of Sun Villas all over, from San Diego all the way to Glendale and beyond. Some still survive, but they're all the same but slightly different. I don't know how many there are surviving, but I know that there are not that many. Quincy Jones was one of the renowned Los Angeles architects. He was one of the preeminent sort of mid-century modern architects of his time. He was a dean of the USC School of Architecture for a period of time, an AIA fellow. He obviously is best known for his role with the larger developers like Eichler, who developed the Eichler homes, Crestwood Hills tract homes. He's done quite a lot of residential projects, but he's also done some large commercial projects like Sunnyland Estates and a few other large commercial buildings like churches and things like that. We obviously didn't know the original owners, the Webbers, but the folks that we bought the house we actually had the pleasure of meeting them. And really they owned it from 1952, I want to say, till 2013 when we purchased it. And they were the Green family. We met Pat Green, they were local resident of Glendale. One of the interesting things, her and her husband planted all of the palm trees on this property. And when we purchased the house, I think there were close to 150 palm trees on this property of various types. She was very proud that her and her husband basically planted each one every weekend. This was sort of their thing. It definitely brings a certain vibe to the house that is very unique. And whoever walks into the house is definitely captured by the feel of the landscaping. The 6 years that we had to live in the house, as it was a time capsule from the 1950s. It was hard, but it had some inherent benefits, right? The interesting thing that developed during those 6 years is we learned about the house, the timeless aspects of it, and what really is the genius of Quincy Jones. And at the same time, we also realized what things are really difficult with the house. Mainly, the facade of the house is 65% single pane glass, right? And so cooling it and heating it is inherently challenging because the insulation and the facade of the building, right? One of the things that we wanted to do when we renovated it is address that issue. Having worked with the architects that helped us throughout that process, we decided to insulate the roof. But we also wanted to keep true to the architecture of the building and not have a really thick roof profile. So we, having worked with them, created a tapered roof profile that from the outside of the house, you can't actually tell any difference, but it has about 6 or 8 inches of insulation that tapers up about 2 feet into the house from the edges of the eaves.
My name is Zara Rostomian, and we've been in this home since 2013, so I guess around 12 years now. I wasn't very knowledgeable about architectural homes as much as my husband, but we had been looking for a while, and this was 2013. One of the many peaks LA has for buying. I came across photos of this home, and I was the first one to find them. And at the time, the previous owner had planted bamboo. So in the window immediately behind me, there was floor-to-ceiling bamboo. Every one of the floor-to-ceiling windows was fully covered by bamboo. So when you were looking at the photos, it was dark, it was a little gloomy, it was a little sad. and it had these tile Spanish floors. But when you drilled in, you could see big panes of glass and it had like little design elements. I was like, this is so cool. This is so unusual. I wonder why they made the choices that they did. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, we gotta go check this house out. And it was within our price range. It was in the area we were looking for. I was so shocked no one else had scooped it up by then. One of the looks I love is when we have guests come over for the first time. Because the home is kind of sloped down and you don't see it, you have no idea how many people tell us once, I had no idea this was back here. And then when they walk around the house, especially people who aren't used to architectural homes, they're shocked at the beauty of like in a mid-century modern home. They really can't place it like as far as like a date and year it was built. One of the things I come back to, and it is by far my most favorite part of the home, is the access to outdoor space from every room. Really think about how many homes do you see that? The fact that you either have a door, our case is sliding glass doors, and you could access outdoor space. You don't get that with a lot of homes, and I think that is the most special thing about this house.
The original key features of the house are obviously the large, expansive sliding doors, the glass facades, plywood walls, and obviously the relation between the interior and the exterior spaces. So every room in the house, which is, it's a very small, humble house. It's only 1,000 square feet. It's actually 975 square feet. Every living space has a direct connection to the outside with its own dedicated egress into the outside. It was very important for us to maintain that. So the living room has its own space. Each bedroom has its own space. The dining room has its own outdoor space. We couldn't salvage the original plywoods because they were just a large number of layers of paint and lead-based paint on them. We replaced them with vertical grain plywood walls as well. However, there was no original insulation in the walls, but we added insulation to make the house a little bit more resilient to the climate. The kitchen, we kept the kitchen in the relatively same area, used a lot of the original layout to inspire this. It's relatively the same percentage of the square footage that was originally designed for the kitchen is now the new kitchen, and kept it as close as we could to the original. One of the things that was very important to us in the process of restoring it was to make sure that the house is preserved for the future. Whether we're involved or not, we wanted to make sure that the house as it stands right now is preserved and no one is able to adversely affected, right? And so as part of that, we registered it with the Glendale Historical Register and applied for the Mills Act, which really protect the exterior of the facade of the house. But we also realized that our family, we were a family of 3 at the time, and 975 square feet is 975 square feet. And so there is a physical limitation to the amount of living space you have with a modern lifestyle. One of the things that we did was we added a completely detached office. When we were designing it, I don't think the term ADU was as prevalent as it is these days, but it was. We always looked at it as an office or a bedroom or another additional space that we could enjoy. We always envisioned it as our working space. My wife and I both oftentimes would work from home. That sort of separation in spaces was important to us. And it also was very much aligned with preserving the facade of the house from a historical context. Quincy Jones was very, very specific with line sights and making sure that you don't see anything and no one sees anything within your property, and it's completely detached from the main streets, but not in a very intrusive way. It's a very passive way of designing privacy, which is one of my favorite features of the house. There's no gates, but there's no strict separation from the outside, but at the same time, it's very, very private. The palm trees is also one of my favorite features. I've grown to love them. I had promised Pat Green to take good care of them, and I think so far we've done our best to keep that promise. I don't know if she'll see this or not, but we've loved them and they've become our palm trees. If we hadn't lived in the house for that 6 years, I don't think we would have been as sensitive to maintaining it and preserving it. In that sense, It's kind of nice the way it all worked out, right? Like it was a little bit of a learning experience, but at the end, I think it derived the final product.